is on because I want to be cold. Every time I go live, I sweat. It's been a tough day. What happened? Well, yes, I guess besides the obvious. Yeah, you just like numb yourself to like the bullshit, even though you probably shouldn't. You just sort of like compartmentalize everything. Did I go to the fourth dimension? I believe we go every night. I think we go every night when we go to sleep. So yes, I'm actually a couple hours away from going. Um, I'll see you there. I'll see you there, damsel 188. I think I read that right. Yeah, it's been an emotionally like heavy day. Sometimes wonder, yeah, the face palm shirt is for everything that's fucking going on right now. I actually posted a video right before I hopped on the live because definitely face palm to everything that has been going on. Like, I don't want to say that I'm surprised. I long ago adopted the mentality that, have I seen Star Trek? Yes. Why would I be wearing a Star Trek shirt? Yes, I have. Enterprise is actually one of my favorite shows. Hey, yeah, I probably should do a better job of like organizing when I go live. But no, a long time ago, the new one with Picard. I have not seen Picard. No, this is a throwback to old school like OG Enterprise. I don't watch a lot of TV. It's so funny. Like I'll post a video and then people will be like, "Oh, this is like this show, or this is like this movie, or like you've seen this, or you've read this, or this." Like I don't read a lot of fiction or watch a lot of like TV shows. When I do, it has to be like somebody telling me like go and watch it or go and like I'm this weekend I'm gonna watch Lovecraft County, but only because literally everybody has been telling me you gotta watch the show, you gotta watch the show, so I'm gonna watch it this weekend. But I don't watch a lot of TV. I love Star Trek, so I'll get like caught up on it does feel like purgatory. Orville. I started watching Orville. I stopped, but I probably should pick it up again. But yeah, no, it has been feeling like I don't know what's going on, but long ago I embraced just the fact that we are in fact living in when did I transition from what? It's more like the funny track. Orville is like a funny track. I had a couple of characters that I actually liked on the Orville. Isaac. I tend to identify with characters that are like androids. I don't know why. But I liked Isaac. I liked Data. I could say, yeah. So I tend to sort of like, and then the Klingon character, so the guy that's supposed to be like a Klingon on Orville. I mean, he's like clearly a Klingon ripoff. But I liked them. I'm one of the dolls. What do you mean? We're talking about Norm Macdonald. All right, things going really fast. All right, thank you. What's your bag, babe? I don't know what that means. But yeah, I should probably watch it again. I've actually been, well, you're very cerebral, so that makes sense. Yeah, I guess I probably shouldn't identify with like robots. I don't. I just like I get where they're coming from. You know what I mean? Like emotions are useless for the most part. I'm probably working towards. I put out a video where it's basically saying that the future influences the present. So like what you do tomorrow affects what happens to you today. And wow, you guys are really nice. I tried to finish the thought and I looked out and like you guys are being super sweet. I appreciate it. I always like wait till late to go live because then my shirt says Facepalm because then I don't have to deal with like as many trolls. But you guys like have been really cool, so thank you. Sort of want to stay on topic, but I keep jumping around, which is fine. This happens like every time I go live. Are emotions useful? I have gotten to the point where I'm starting to realize that anger, for example, is like fruitless. I mean, I think it's one thing to like feel the emotion, but use that as a check. So here's one thing that I would like to share with you guys, right? Like you are under no obligation to respond the moment you are provoked. I'll say that again. You are under no obligation to respond the moment you are provoked. I have 99% of the times that I've gotten myself in trouble is because something happened and I did not give myself enough space and time. Ooh, I got quieter. I felt like I was yelling. The AC just went off. I didn't give myself enough space and time to choose my reaction. And it sounds so somebody said emotions are useful depending on how your avatar is wired. So my avatar is wired towards rage. Thank you. I used to have a really quick trigger. Like if you say something that I find disrespectful, I will let you know immediately. And that is like my avatar. And I've learned that I shouldn't do that because I always regret whenever I react. Oh, what I mean by avatar is my body. So this is your physical form. It's okay. Don't apologize. I just started like 5 minutes ago, so you're right on time. So the avatar is your body, and the understanding that you are not your body is just a physical form. And well, yeah, it is kind of Barbie-esque. You should see me in person. When I go out, like little girls always like stare at me. It's fun. And then I always go, "Hi." Yeah. Podcast is my new addiction. Thank you. Thanks for listening. My avatar is fucked up. No, it's not. Don't be a hater. Avatar is the ego, is the body. Yeah. I should never be given a red button. It would like likely get pressed. Yeah. So I've been learning now over time to give myself time to respond because, like I was saying, uh, most of the time when I have gotten into trouble is because I never give myself space to respond. Like somebody says something and I just went off. And I've been meditating and that has been helping a lot. I've also been microdosing, which I'm not going to go into detail here, but that has been helping a lot. I have been taking sulforaphane, which is a broccoli seed extract, and that has been helping tremendously. I'm pretty zen for the most part now. And it has also helped me to do what's on your shirt. It's Picard doing a face palm. Hey, can I see feet? No, that's weird. How do you get your teeth so white? Baking soda mixed with calcium carbonate and MCT oil. And I use that. And then there's Lueli. I get it from Amazon and I use that occasionally as well. But I mix it with MCT oil, brush my teeth, and I got super white teeth. Thank you, thank you. How tall is my avatar? I am 6'1", or the body is. Talk more about broccoli seed extract. So Google this. Google sulforaphane. I'll answer the princess question in a little bit. You can get broccoli seed extract anywhere. I get it from Amazon, but iHerb has it as well. I'm not a Buddhist, but I do respect their tenets, and I pull information from wherever I get information from. So you can. Jesus loves me. Hi, Jesus. Why do you say avatar? Because avatar is a physical form. It's not who you are. You can Google avatar. Trying to answer the question. If I missed your question or like got distracted by a comment, please ask again. I will respond. Hey, Manpreet, how are you? Good to see you. Yeah. So what was I saying? Oh, sulforaphane. I think I mentioned this all the time, but it has helped me. I should first start by saying the way you handle these comments. Oh, am I gonna get mad? Like it is what it is. So I should start by saying that you can Google sulforaphane. And also, this is not medical advice. I am not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. But this body, my avatar, whatever you want to call it, has a predisposition towards chemical depression. And chemical depression, the short form of it is you just wake up feeling down. For no other reason. And what would happen is it's a chemical depletion. So what would happen to me is when that would happen, I would just like try to find reasons to explain why I'm feeling down. And eventually I realized that there's nothing, it was just the body. Like that's just something that got depleted or whatever. So I did a lot of research. I didn't want to go on like antidepressants. I just intuitively, see I have a video, I put out 2 videos today, or 3. I kind of spammed my feed with videos because I got shadow banned. Somebody reported one of my videos. I put a video out that said that all cultures have their own brand of magic. And then I proceeded to like list all of the cultures that have their own brand of magic. I talked Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, the Celts, the Gauls, the Mayans, the Aztecs, Native Americans, Iroquois, all cultures, Hindustani, all cultures have their own brand of magic. And I was trying to be like inclusive. And then the video got reported, which is fun. And so I just like was like, fuck it, like I'm not about to get like shadow banned again. So I just spammed my feed with videos. So sorry if you guys follow me and you're like, hey, I'm tired of you seeing her face every 5 minutes. But I think I'm unshadow banned now, and that's also why I'm doing this. Yes, antidepressants. So that's why I'm also doing live, so I can get unshadow banned. What happens if you give yourself time to react? I usually find that when I will answer the princess question, ask again, and I will answer the antidepressant question, ask again. I want more videos. Don't apologize. I don't want to like spam you guys. Okay, hold on. Antidepressants. So, and if you ask the question and I don't respond, ask again. Just keep asking. I promise you I will respond. It's just sometimes I obviously get distracted. In addition to the clinical or chemical depression, this avatar is also prone to ADHD. So work with me. But I would, love to answer all your questions. So I started doing a lot of research and I found sulforaphane. This doctor, I don't remember her name, but she was first featured on Rogan. So say what you want about Rogan. I have learned a lot from his podcast when I do tune in. And but if you Google sulforaphane, I think it's SULFORAPHANE, sulforaphane, and just look up like sulforaphane with depression and anxiety. I'm not a doctor. This is not medical advice. I'm just telling you what worked for me, okay? But if you Google sulforaphane, there's loads of research that talks about how it helps with like ADHD and clinical depression, things of that nature. And so I started taking it along with broccoli sprouts. And sometimes if I take too much, I actually feel high, which she talks about it as well. It gives me the same effects as if I like microdose on totally illegal mushrooms that you're not supposed to be taking, and I don't recommend that you do that. But it does give you the same effect. So that's what I use to sort of regulate my moods, and I don't microdose all the time. I actually just maybe like once a month, but for the rest of the time, every single day, I make sure that I'm taking broccoli seed extract or sulforaphane, and I take it with mustard seed. So the brands, before you order, this is not medical advice. I'm just telling you what I would take. So what I order, what I use is, you guys laugh at me. What I use is, you can find like broccoli seed extract or broccoli sprouts extract on Amazon, but you can try iHerb as well. But for me, I also, in addition to that, I also take two brands. One is called Pure Onco, and the other one is called Crucera. And she had mentioned it in her podcast, and so those are the two brands that I got. It's a little bit like on the pricier side, but it works for me. And like I don't even get reactive, guys. Like I'm so zen and balanced. So it does work for me. I would recommend that you at least read into it. This is not medical advice. I repeat, this is not medical advice. So L-Dopa. Hey Priya, how are you? Ashwagandha. So I used to take ashwagandha to help me sleep at night, and I can't anymore. But I would recommend it if you have issues sleeping. If you take like right before you go to sleep. I can't take it anymore because it stimulates my immune system, and I can't do that because I have some sort of weird like, and by I mean this avatar has some sort of weird like underlining autoimmune disorder, so I cannot overstimulate my immune system. But if you don't have an autoimmune issue, I would absolutely recommend it for sure. Or I don't know if I can say I would recommend it, but it's just consult your doctor. Um, Holy basil, yeah, all of these things. I just have to be very careful. I'm trying to read what you guys are saying. So if you missed anything, I will also upload this to my YouTube channel. I have a YouTube channel. I do have ADHD, but it is pretty controlled for the most part. I just have to stay on top of it. So I take the sulforaphane. I meditate in the morning and I meditate at night. My favorite book, I don't have a favorite. I love books, but my favorite series at the moment is Cosmic Trigger. It was here. So, okay, those of you who know me, Priya, Manpreet, I see you guys. I love audiobooks. Like I'll listen all day. That's what I listen to when I paint. But this is like these are the first series that I read where I was like, I need to get the physical copy. So I bought mustard seed helps with the absorption of sulforaphane. Sorry about that. I just randomly threw that in there. And then, the book is called Cosmic Trigger. It's a 3-book series. Nobody's paying me to promote this. It's just a wild ride. Like, I don't have any vices beyond what I've mentioned earlier that I'm not telling you guys to do, but I love books, and I love books that when you're done reading it, you feel high. And these 3 books, I'm telling you, like, after the third one was okay. It kicked up after like the middle of it. But the first 2 for sure. Oh my God. Like, I finished reading it and I was like, we're all one. Like, we're all connected. None of this is real. Everything is an illusion. From a book. From a book. It's a great book. So I would recommend it. For sure. Oh, please show us. It's called Cosmic Trigger. It's written in like the 70s. The 60s and the 70s is a really good book. I don't know why it's backwards. Or it's inverted, but good book for sure. And like I said, if you missed it, I will put this video eventually on my YouTube channel in about 3-4 days or whatever. I just have to upload it. Somebody asked me, so the princess question. The author is Robert Anton Wilson. Raw. Yeah. Hi. Okay, princess. So my great grandfather was a king of FMI, the kingdom in Benin, and but I don't really hold on to it. Yes, technically I am a princess, but it doesn't really mean anything because 1, I'm in America, and 2, the whole like concept of like royalty is really creepy to me and weird. Like, so a bunch of human beings decided that they're like better than other people and then like decided to like dominate them and rule them. Like, that doesn't vibe with me. So I don't like, it's like a weird thing to say. I don't identify as a princess, but it's a weird sentence. But yeah, so it's not my jam. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't think anybody is like born to rule, because to say that a person is born to rule is to imply that other people are born to serve. So that shit doesn't like flow with me. But yes, my great grandfather was a king. My father is a prince. Also, my great grandfather had a lot of wives, so he had a lot of children. So it's like polygamy was a thing. So it is what it is. So it doesn't really define my personality. I don't lead with it. But yeah, just a little bit of information. We speaking about Roe versus Wade? Yeah, I mean, indirectly, yeah. It's just, actually the video I just posted, I'm wearing this shirt. It kind of talks about this, and I'm gonna touch on it like super briefly, because it's fucked up, and like I'm sure everybody's been feeling some type of way, about it. Baby, come on, how much longer are you gonna be on? What are you talking about? I just started, so good luck. Oh, skincare. Oh, wait. Let me finish R versus Wade. So the thing is that I put in the video I just posted before I jumped in this live is this. People really need to accept the fact that we're living in a dystopia, because we're living in a dystopia. So the first step is you have to accept that we have a problem. You cannot walk around thinking that like somehow things are going to get better in the future and kind of lessen our laurels and have hope that like things will get better, because that's not how this world works. Like, if you want things to be better, you have to be willing to acknowledge that shit can get fucked up, and we've seen this happen time and time again. Like, I don't want to like make this political. It's like too late, and I really try to avoid politics because it's super triggering. But during the 2016 election, oh, you were here the last time. Remember the bedtime story? You guys are giving me such a hard time. But yeah, you should lose hope. And it sounds terrible. Let me finish. Let me say you should lose hope. Because hope is dangerous. Hope makes you feel comfortable. Hope makes you think, oh, this cannot happen to me. So take hope and throw that shit out the window. One of my favorite stories, like I said, I didn't want to make this political because, yeah, but I don't know if it's about politics. Anyway, let me just say what this. My favorite story from Greek mythology is, every time I do a live, somebody comes in here and says, girl. But my favorite story from Greek mythology is Pandora. And Pandora's box. For those of you who are not familiar, they give her this box and it's full of evil, and she's told not to open it. And of course she opens it, but before she has a chance, where everything comes out, like all the evil comes into the world, the one thing that's left in the box is evil. sorry, is hope. And she closes the box. And as a kid, I could not for the life of me like wrap my mind around like why was hope in the box of evil? Yeah, it is like Adam and Eve. That's where they got the story from. Basically, they just like colonized it. But that's where, but that's where, but I've always wondered like I'm preaching like negative vibes. Okay, sorry. I'm fully I've incorporated my shadow self. I'm okay with being negative, because that's the world we're living in. It is positive and negative, light and shadow duality. It is what it is. So I always wonder why hope is in the box of evil. But it turns out that the more you think about it, the more you realize that when you have hope that things can get better, is a bit of magical thinking. So it causes you to less rest on your laurels. But you shouldn't be hopeful. You should take action. You should consider the fact that something bad could happen and then do everything you can to protect yourself and prevent it from happening. And that's what I mean by that. I know that we have sort of like this, like every time we say hope, everybody automatically thinks is a good thing, but it isn't always a good thing. Sometimes it can be like a salve, like comfort. And that's kind of what I've seen happen in this country. The first thing was like during the elections when like 2016, where we just said like, oh, the other guy's not going to win, right? It would never happen here. And then it happened. Then the thing happened with this cold that has been going around for the last 2 years. And by cold, I mean like super severe thing that is like totally like fucked up the entire world, right? But everybody said like it couldn't happen here when it was happening in other parts of the world. That we were like, it couldn't happen here. Like we just imagined that because we thought it wasn't going to happen, it wasn't going to happen, and then it happened. Now we've seen the same thing with Roe versus Wade. Like we thought it couldn't happen here, and it can happen here. So like stop thinking that, and then start acting like it. If anything can happen in anywhere else in the world, it can certainly happen here. Like why do we think that? Why do we think this? Like it's like we're anyway. So that's all I'll say about that. Somebody said like a fighter always assume your opponent is training harder than you. See, I like that. Yeah, I like that. Somebody said, like a fighter, always assume that your opponent is training harder than you. You have to be prepared for any probable thing, any probable reality experience. Be prepared, like Scar. Be prepared. Okay, did anybody else watch Lion King and root for Scar, or am I just a villain? Anybody else? Just me? Just me? Nobody else? Yo, Scar was a shit. Somebody said no. I want to see what you guys have to say. I'm not a villain. But he was making points though. Scar was hot. I mean, I'm just saying. Scar was flawless. Help helps to mitigate negative thoughts to avoid negative influential vibes. Perhaps. When I bet the disgruntled brother speak of the power trip. You look like Scar. I look like Scar. You're killing me. That's hilarious. Oh my god, you kill me. Okay, that's funny. Somebody said I look like Scar. What made you realize that? Alright, hold on. Points. Oh, you guys go fast. I want to see what you guys are saying. Wait, why root for Scar? Okay, I always root for should I say this? Like I started to say something and I'm like, wait, I'm live, people can see me. Let's change the subject. All right, what else you guys got? What else you guys have to say? Just reading your comments. Dark Tribe vibes from him, the underdog. He was not, okay. All right, so I have this thing where I can always understand the villain's perspective. Listen, all right, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Every single show, movie, book you read, who has seen Shadow and Bone? Have you guys seen or read Shadow and Bone? If you haven't, it's a really good show. It's on Netflix, and the book is really good. But every single, for the most part, unless it's like Hannibal Lecter or some crazy shit like that, all right? But like every single character or villain that I've experienced, that I've seen, they always have a point. It's just, yes, they do hurt people, so I don't like that. I don't like the fact that they hurt people. I'm not rooting for like mean people, but they do always have a point. So villains always have a point. They just always go about it a fucked up way, right? And that's because the author is the authority of the story. So they have constructed this character and they want you to dislike this character. But sometimes the ideals and what the person is saying, that villain is saying, makes sense. Like, it's one of the reasons why I really like Game of Thrones. You guys remember Game of Thrones? Like, first season we had what's his name, the Stark, Eddard, and this dude came through and he was like in a place that like he should have been paying attention to his surroundings. Yeah, and he was like, I just have to do the right thing. Boy, you are surrounded by like like crazy people who literally, they're saying when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. Like, the king is dead. All right, like, the more he's investigating, the more he's realizing, like, wait, shit's low-key fucked up, excuse my language. And he just keeps persisting on, like, I'm gonna be the good guy. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with being the good guy, but like, yo, be a little like prepared. Like, be prepared. Like, he just, and then you're just sitting there going like, bro, like, stop trusting these people. Stop, like, you're not reading the room, bro. Like, you're surrounded by proper villains. Like, take a step back and reevaluate. And that was the first depiction in fiction that I felt like was more realistic, because in some situations, not all, in some situations, the hero doesn't win. Like, look at what's going on. Bascara, though, really? Yes. I'm a weird kid. Or I was a weird kid. But look at what's going on in the world right now. Like, we are programmed. We are programmed. And I use that word intentionally every time. Sir, you always come up in here and complain every time I say, like, let me see. I'm sorry. Bye. I literally started a conversation talking about how I root for villains, and you coming up in here talking to me about saying, like, you got blocked, in case you're wondering what just happened. We are programmed. The word. Every time I use the word programmed, I use it with intention. It's because it is intentional. It's intentional. We're programmed from birth. I keep freezing. Is it okay? Anybody else see me freeze? Anybody else? Am I freezing? Hello? Anybody else? Am I glitching? My internet? Hello? Hello? I mean, I can't do anything about it. Okay. All right. Cool. Sorry that I'm glitching. Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. Internet's up. What was I talking about? Dang it. I feel like that person said that just to throw me off course. What was I talking about? Help me. I forgot. The best characters have different shades of good and evil. Absolutely. I totally agree. We are programmed. Yes. We're programmed to think that you just always, as long as you do the right thing and you're good, then the good people will always win. But then look at history and you realize that that's just something that they're telling us because it's straight up villains running this world. And it's a lot of good people trying to do good while these villains are like literally destroying the planet. So at some point, we need to stop thinking that like good will win out in the end, because time and time again, like, let's talk about World War II. Please remember and realize that the Nazis were incorporated into the CIA. I've said too much. Let's change the subject. I am glitching. I'm sorry. How are you able to express your thoughts so well? I've always stutter and forget what I'm talking about. I use like a lot, I guess. I guess that helps. We gotta beat evil and hope ain't gonna do it. Exactly. The villains pull the strings. Exactly. I'm not saying we should be bad. Absolutely not. I'm saying that we can't rest on our laurels. We can't rest on our laurels and just think that eventually, something is going to come and save us. Like, we have to save ourselves. We have to save ourselves. Like, we have to come together. The most dangerous thing you can tell people is that, something's coming to save you. The most dangerous thing that you can impose on people is unity. Like, please pay attention to the fact that, I don't know how it turns into this, but it is what it is. There are more of us than the people who have destroyed and are destroying this planet. There's more of us than there are of the so-called elite 1%, whatever they call themselves. There's more of us. There's more of us. But the way they continue to hold power is they just keep us fighting each other. It's the same thing. And every time I come on this app, or I go on social media and I see anybody that comes up, they go on social media and they're spitting divisive rhetoric, all I can think is like, you're part of the problem. You're part of the problem, because anything that fractures the collective, anything that fractures and further divides the collective, that is what keeps the 1%, or they're not even 1%, it's like 0.01%. That's what keeps them in power. And you could say unity until exactly divide and conquer. Like, it's so simple. It's so simple. Like, just stop fighting each other. Stop allowing them to like break you up into little pieces. Because please understand that whatever is happening to one group, like talking about the Roe versus Wade thing, whatever is happening in one group, very quickly they will just turn around and pivot, and then they're gonna do it to, so that it's women now, they're gonna pivot and do it to men, they're gonna pivot and do it to, like, they just anything to just further destroy and separate. That's how they stay in power. And that's the most dangerous thing you can tell people to do, is unite. That's why they tend to take people out who talk about unity, but it is what it is. I'm not saying unity is bad. No. When did I say unity is bad? How did you get that? Maybe I misspoke, but that's definitely not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying anybody that sows seeds of division between the collective is working indirectly, whether they're conscious of it or not. A lot of the times they're not conscious of it. You just pick a team, right? Because that's what you're programmed from birth. Pick a side, any side, right? It doesn't matter so long as you fractal the collective. Anybody that divides the collective, they're working essentially for the elites. And just because one person or one group of people are being affected by today's laws doesn't mean that there isn't going to come a time when, because if we're tired of the plot repeating, like, maybe we should collectively change the channel. Yeah, it is super, oh, thank you. Just saw a little heart pop up. It's super unoriginal and boring. Like, I'm over it. Maybe we should try something else. Sometimes I think about the multiverse. History repeats because we don't learn. And we don't learn because we're intentionally not taught. So if you're not aware that this shit has happened before, then yeah, you'll repeat the loop. Because the people who are repeating the loop, they don't have to change their game. They just repeat it. Because they don't teach. So I'm over it as well. Yep. We all have access to power. They do. Exactly. That's why they hate critical race theory. It's draining. But how can we, if we don't have the tools to do so? Well, what are the tools? Be like the Borg and start a collective. What is EEAAO, please? It's super easy. Like, stop allowing people to tear you apart. That's it. Operate under the assumption that your neighbor, just because they're a different gender or a different sex or a different orientation or a different skin color or whatever the fuck from you, it makes no sense to me. It's like wild to me, because like it's like this is a vehicle and we're so identified with form that we think that this vehicle really matters. So it's like, okay, you're walking around in a red shirt, you're a bad person. Okay, well, I've got a white shirt, I'm better than you. Like, it's dumb. It's just proper dumb. We should all be working through our privilege and trauma so we can get past our indoctrinations. I totally agree. Has reality shifted before, and do you believe it is possible? I think it shifts all the time. How come every old book has mention of Jesus? It doesn't. That's not even his name. I don't like having, things I don't like to discuss: politics, religion, because it tends to be people can't see past their dogmas, and then it turns into an argument And I don't want to argue, but every old book does not mention Jesus. Jesus wasn't even his name. There was the letter J did not come around until like the 1500s, but I'll leave that alone. Actually, one more thing. So if you read the book by Socrates the Younger, not Socrates the Younger, Seneca the Younger, Socrates the Younger, Seneca, although Socrates was the Younger, Seneca the Younger, Letters from a Stoic, he was alive around the same time as Christ was supposed to have walked on earth, and he never mentioned anybody walking on water or coming back from the dead or turning water into wine or anything like that. So not accurate, but I'm gonna leave that alone. That's all I'll say about that. Yeah, reality is constantly shifting. Well, I appreciate you too, None Your Business. I like your username. What are my thoughts on nothingness? I can't really speak on nothingness. I think we just tend to forget. But that's my perspective. Like they say that like 95% of the world of reality is like dark matter, but is it dark or is it just not visible to our senses? Like we have such a skewed view of the world, and we like imagine what the world is to like how the world appears to like a bee compared to like us, right? So we're limited by our senses, and our brain is a filter. So we construct an image of the world based on our senses, and then we say this is what the world is, but it's not accurate. And please read this book. Somebody keeps asking how you can send me a copy of your book. If you have like a digital copy, I'd be happy to you can just email me the PDF. I would appreciate it. Thank you. And then somebody asked how, and even how it is to a child. That's true. Kids have a really different way of looking at our reality because they're less indoctrinated. They haven't been in the reality in this world for as long as we have, so they can see things that people who have been in a simulation much longer have literally, like, they've just been blind to. In this book, Cosmic Trigger, there's a chapter where he talks about, like, if you didn't have a word for horse, or if you didn't think like a horse could exist, you could parade a horse down the street and your mind would perceive something else. And I like that because he also in the book talks about the limitations of language, and he says things like language can be a lie. Like every time we speak, we actually lie. We don't realize it. So if I say like the rose is red, right? The more when you throw in the word is, hey, I love hearing from the podcast listeners. I appreciate you. That's my ultimate goal. Like it just drives as many people to the podcast as possible, because the hardest thing for me is taking like these really difficult concepts and whittling them down to like 2-minute, 30-second sound bites, or like 3-minute videos. And even the 3 minutes are pushing it because the algorithm does not allow for long form content. Even though they tell you can like upload 10-minute videos. Like I'm not going to upload a 10-minute video to TikTok because you guys are not going to sit and watch 10 minutes. Like, I mean, I guess you guys are watching me talk on live, but if you're scrolling through, it's like you just want to watch funny videos. You don't want somebody hopping in and talking about we're living in a dystopia and your parallel self is directing your actions across the multiverse. Like nobody's trying to see that. At 5 o'clock in the morning, or when you're trying to like not go to sleep or something like that. You know what I mean? So, would love for you guys to subscribe to the podcast or at least the YouTube channel and be able to have like these sort of discussions, but at long form. 10-minute videos are not even FYP. See, I don't know why they offer that. Like when they have no intention of actually pushing it, just keep it what it is, what about tapping into the energy of utopia and bringing it in here? So that was actually what I talked about in my last live, is there a way for you to do that? And I think, and I also talked about this on the podcast as well, not to keep promoting my podcast, but I do have a podcast. In case you didn't realize I have a podcast. So what I talk about my podcast is that can we make this world a utopia? I suspect that we can. But the first thing is, if you aren't aware, right? If you aren't aware that this is a dystopia, then you have no reason to want to change it. So the whole point is you start talking to people and realizing like, this shit is fucked up. It doesn't have to be this way, but like, this is not, it doesn't have to be this way, but it's been this way for a really long time. And just because we hope that it's going to get better doesn't mean it's going to get better just by hoping. Like we have to like make it better, like stop doing the things that have been done in the past and made this world the way it is. Otherwise it will end up sort of repeating. It doesn't have to repeat. Um, so, definitely dystopia. Yeah, if we can just start with that, just start with the acceptance of that, because like for every single group, like looking back, it's never been kumbaya. But can we sort it out? What I think, and thank you. As somebody was talking about the painting, what I think is, I don't know if I should say this or not, but I think that there are certain plants that that grow naturally on this planet, and they do things to the mind and shape the mind so that it can be less destructive, more constructive. And I think that if we can figure out, oh, I have dimples, or is it the painting? I don't have dimples. But I think if we can figure out a way to make it so that collectively we work together to push for the legalization. The fact that nature is illegal is goofy to me. It's the dumbest thing. There's more and more research coming out by psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, medical doctors who are saying that, like, for example, psilocybin can change the brain and help people heal from trauma. I'm not making this up. I'm not a doctor, but you can go on Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever and research this stuff, and it's basically saying the same thing. There are plants that occur naturally, fungus, mushrooms, whatever. I'm not advocating this stuff. I'm just saying there's some stuff that grows out of the ground naturally that if you take it and you put it in your mouth in small doses, it changes your brain. It helps with your internal monologue. It helps you deal with depression. It helps you heal from trauma. It's there. Why are there human beings who are no different from you? They are human beings. We elected these people. They're supposed to be public servants. Servants being the operative word. We supposedly elected them to work for us. And yet they are telling us that things that could make your life better. It can negatively affect your brain, in my opinion, if you take too much. But that is my opinion. And also my experience. There's a book called LSD and the Spirit of the Universe, I believe is the title. And this doctor, what he did was he researched on like macro doses or large doses of mushrooms and things like that. And after 20 years, he realized, and he even said in the book, like, I didn't need to take as much as I did. Like, I'm doing too much. I did way too much, and I like messed up my brain. So his conclusion at the end of this book, after 20 years, he said the optimal dosage of these plants and mushrooms and things of that nature are, you're okay with the microdose. And I 100% believe that. I think that what is popular right now, same thing with like marijuana, is that people are taking like way too much THC, and the marijuana that people are like imbibing now is like drastically different. The THC is way too high. It's drastically different than what like our ancestors or our grandparents took, you know what I mean? And it's so high in THC but super low in CBD, so it doesn't fully integrate, it's not balanced, and it causes a lot of issues that people aren't talking about because they're just so happy to have it legalized. But it's a bastardization of what somebody said. It's not heirloom. Exactly, it's a bastardization of what nature intended, and it is what it is. So I'm a proponent of small doses over long periods of time. See, let's pretend you're a sculptor, right? Definitely have to integrate. I love that. It used to be good before. The stuff is now different. Absolutely. So pretend like I'm a sculptor, and I have a block of ice. Okay. If I want to carve this like block of ice into a work of art, what's the best way? Do I take like a chainsaw and carve it hard, or do I like take like a pick and work through it over time? What's going to give me a cleaner result? Well, I said sulforaphane is good with mustard seed. Mustard seed helps with the absorption of sulforaphane. The best way to carve a block of ice and turn it into a work of art isn't with a chainsaw. It's like slowly over time using a pick, right? And I guess combination, but I don't think so. I feel like a chainsaw on ice is like really super aggressive, but maybe not. Maybe that's not a good analogy. what I find is that macro doses of anything is like taking a chainsaw. You're just not going to get the clean, precise sort of effect as you just slowly over time changing your brain, meditating, microdosing, giving your body time to adjust and to heal. Like it's just a slow adaptation, adjustment over time. That is my opinion, based on my, I don't want to say experience, just say my research, and we'll leave it at that. Maybe a combination though. What do I think about wailing trees? I haven't heard of wailing trees. Or trees are wailing? I mean, I've seen something that said that trees have their own consciousness, so I'm not surprised. I'm trying to get some plants. I should give a TED talk. Well, if they invite me, Oh, it says TikToker, Jolie. Sure. I mean, I'm down. She hit them up. Yeah, I believe that I've seen videos for sure on TikTok about, a podcast listener, clinically microdoses have made the most significant change. Well, based on the books that I've read over time, it was better if you did microdoses, but once again, based on the books that I have read. Listen, at the end of the day, you can find an expert to say anything, right? I saw this video. It was actually, once again, on TikTok where this guy kind of broke it down. He was saying, on one end, they say like, oh, that carnivore doctor. So we all know, we've been told from jump that like red meat causes cancer. Red meat causes cancer. All these experts who all of them are saying like red meat is bad for you. Now you have this carnivore doctor who eats testicles and hearts, and he's saying that red meat is actually really good for you. You can find an expert to say anything. So I choose to go with the research that I have done that has found over time that, yeah, he eats testicles, that I found over time, small doses. And also my experience. So thank you for mentioning John Hopkins, but my experience and my research on my body and with my friends in my circle have shown that small doses over time works and has been more effective. Just more pleasant experience for me. You do what you want to do. You trust whatever research you want to trust. You have a wonderful day as well. You trust whatever research you want to trust. It's actually a podcast episode. I have a podcast that I did where, he is on, he may be on TikTok, but I've seen him on Instagram. But the last episode of my podcast, I talked about, yes, it's always easy to find an expert to fit the narrative you want to push. Exactly. The last episode of my podcast, the most recent, is actually about experts. It's called Experts Reality Channel. Oh, Experts Dogma and Reality Channel. And thank you for saying that. For yourself, a macrodose is what works for your personality. I think we need to start speaking in those ways, like in that way, right? And that was what was my point on the podcast. Like, everybody's got a mind. You go find the information and you find out what works for you, right? I don't like when people come in and say, this is what works. No, this is what works for you. Or this was what worked during clinical research when they worked with these sample of people. But I can't handle high doses of a lot of things. If I was in that research, I promise you it would not have worked for me. It would not have worked for me. And unfortunately, when we do research, yes, they pick a sample size that's supposed to represent, the entire population, but it's not the most accurate way. It's something that we've accepted because it's what works for now, but it's not the most accurate way. We just assume that it's the most accurate way. So you take the time to find out what works for you. Ew. Definitely saw someone eating testes on TikTok. That's gross. I'm not trying to live that long if it means that I gotta eat animal testicles. That's not, fuck that. Like, I'm sorry, excuse my language, but I'm good. And that happens way too much in spiritual communities. Yeah, let's get into the habit. And once again, I'm not plugging this book. I feel like I wrote this book. I didn't write this book. I feel like this is an infomercial. But this book, Cosmic Triggers 1, 2, and 3, the third one, it's hard to get going, but at the later half of the book, it really gets going. He really, he put something into my mind that really made me think. And it just makes you take a step back and realize, like, there's a lot of shit that we have going on right now in our world, in our reality, that we just assume it's, the name of my podcast is Your One Black Friend. Your One Black Friend. That's the name of my podcast. Um, but it's not sponsored. I mean, they could run me my money though. The way I've been talking about this book, I don't even think he's alive anymore. But he made me realize, like, once again, you can find an expert to say whatever it is that you want said. And there are experts that believe what they're saying, but they have been socialized. Thank you. They have been socialized in a particular school of dogma. They've been programmed in a very particular perception, right, of seeing reality. So they're going to speak to what works for them. He calls them reality tunnels, right? And he basically says that, like, reality isn't this fixed thing. I actually have a video on my TikTok channel and on my YouTube, I guess, as well, where I say that reality has an algorithm, right? So what I talked about was that, like, so we're on TikTok, and TikTok, everybody's got like different feeds. So my feed is going to be different from your feed. And what he says is basically the same thing. Although when he wrote this was in the 70s, they didn't have TikTok, but it's the same thing. Everybody's reality tunnel, and reality tunnel he got from Dr. Timothy Leary, which, if you haven't heard anything of him, if you know who Ram Dass is and you're in like your spiritual vibe, he was like, he worked with Ram Dass, Timothy Leary. Now, this is how you know this guy knew what he was talking about, because they put this dude in prison. I didn't know that Timothy Leary had been imprisoned for his experiments in trying to, on a clinical setting, show that LSD in like controlled doses can absolutely help heal the mind. They put this guy in prison, prison. That's insane, which also explains why a lot of scientists nowadays are afraid to come out and say things that challenge the status quo. So you really have to be mindful of what you take in, because a lot of the things that people are saying, they are, you don't know why they're saying what they're saying or why they're professing to believe something. You know what I mean? So read as much as you can. Take in as much information that you can, and form your own opinions. Ultimately, like, don't follow. Don't follow. Like, I say this over and over again on my hey, thank you for subscribing to the podcast. But don't follow. Like, don't even, like, the videos that I put out, like, I put them out, but I put on my tagline, they're just theories and stories. Whether or not I accept them as truth or they're truth within my reality, that doesn't mean that you have to accept them as dogma or truth. I want you to have the freedom to form your own theories on the nature of reality, what you think this world is, what you think, reality is, what works for you. We should not speak in absolutes, right? There is, once again in this book, Cosmic Trigger, he keeps kind of drilling that in, because, so let's go back to the rose. He said, say the sentence, the rose is red, or this rose is red. Okay, what does that mean? When you say the rose is red, it kind of blinds you from everything else. Well, is it red, or does it only appear red? Never speak in absolutes. Yes. So instead of saying the rose is red, let me finish the sentence. So you say the rose is red. Well, first and foremost, how do you know that red appears red to me in the exact same way that it does to you? You have no way of knowing that, because my qualia, my experience is drastically different. You will not be able to see how I see the world unless somehow you can upload your consciousness into my brain, right? My brain is what creates my reality, and my reality is, in a way, a work of art. It's a projection of my nervous system, a projection of my brain, right? So bear that in mind, right? So if I say something as simple as a rose is red, well, a rose is red, what does red mean? What does is mean, right? How long is it red, right? Is it red only to humans? How does a rose appear to a bee or to a horse or to an alien? I don't know, right? So we get limited, and we sort of feel like we have a greater understanding of this world when we use like be verbs, like is, are, be, right? And we just say, this is it. I am right. What I believe is right to you, right? So sometimes when you just P. Diddy me, what does that mean? But sometimes you end up getting into an argument with people. Like sometimes I'll post a video, for example, and thank you. And somebody will say, that's not true. And my response always is, in my head, before I block them, is that's not true to you, right? It's based on your perception of your reality and has nothing to do with me. If you have read the same books that I've read and had the same experiences that I've experienced, then you would be coming to the same conclusions that I am coming to. But just because it doesn't mean it's not the same to you, or you're not perceiving it the same way based on your limited experiences, that doesn't mean that I'm wrong. It also doesn't mean that my experiences are invalid just because you subscribe to a prevailing ideology of what you think reality is supposed to be, or you subscribe to a particular dogma that has been imposed on you from birth, right? I saw this video. It said something like sanity is found in large like population or something like that. And that like hit home with me. Because if one person believes one thing, right, it's considered insane. Like if I said there is an elf behind me, like you guys would be like, she's crazy. But then if all of you guys could see the elf, even if it's a projection or if it's a hallucination, if it's a mass hallucination, as long as we're all seeing the same thing, that we're no longer crazy. So sanity is found in numbers. But just because, you know, there's a sort of a large group of people who believe a particular thing doesn't mean that that thing is necessarily sane. So sanity is put in quotes. And that's how we sort of treat each other, right? Well, I believe this thing and like these other people believe the same thing that I believe. So I'm right and you're wrong. Well, in the same video, the individual kind of put forth, he said, listen, a lot of us drink alcohol. As a public figure, you hope to have influence. So yeah, I'm not a public figure. I'm just a TikToker. Just puts out video. I mean, I get what you're trying to say, but at the end of the day, I'm just a TikToker. I mean, I guess when I get the blue check mark or whatever, then I could pop my collar or whatever. But I'm just a person with a TikTok channel that's talking, and a YouTube channel, and I guess a podcast. And my podcast is Your One Black Friend. Please subscribe. So just keep that in mind. Then the test of the theory will give us facts, and then that will give us a positive answer or negative. I don't know what you're talking about when you call. But we have the capacity to be influential. We all have the capacity. Give yourself more credit. No, I mean, I'm being realistic. You'd vote for me. I'm not running. Fuck politicians. Yeah, no, I'm always going to come back to the perspective where I don't see that anybody, thanks for stopping by. My podcast is Your One Black Friend. Your One Black Friend. Nobody has the right. I'm not running for anything. Stop. Nobody has the right to rule over anybody else. If anybody comes forward and says that, you know, I am fit to rule, please understand that that is a double entendre. What they're also saying is you are fit to serve me. Don't vote for me because I'm not running. I don't think that, like, we should rule ourselves. That's where it comes down to. We should rule ourselves. Nobody has the right to rule anybody else. It bugs me that there's some old chick sitting on a throne of gold that was stolen from other countries, and people make a big deal out of this old woman that's like inbred, and her family has like dominated and like terrorized thousands of people, if not millions of people over time, and she's still like venerated. That's weird to me. Super weird to me. 99 years old. Although I think she's dead. I think she's died, and they're just like, they want to like have it like be like a nice even number, and so every time she makes appearances, they just like weekends at Bernie's her, and they just like, it's a I don't think they're using an actual dead body, but I think it's like all like CGI and like puppets, and somebody's wearing a mask, something like that. It's not like, how hard would it be to pretend? Do you guys know her? Have you ever met her? She's like behind this fucking gilded cage. most of her life. So yeah, she's not going anywhere. They're just gonna keep her in power forever. You know what she did? What she put in her, I'm just making this shit up now. Uh, you know what she did before she died? I'm making this up. This is a story, but this is what I would do if like my sons were, you know what her sons are. Um, I would put in my will that um, that none of them can like take over until like they pass on, and then give it to the other one, William. So we're just gonna pretend that she's alive for like the next 40 years. She's gonna be like, somebody said she's gonna be like 140. Hmm. Don't listen to me. I just made that up. If you knew something was going to happen, would you be scared? What do you mean? Make a cheat sheet. What are you guys talking about on there? Anyway, it's been an hour. I should probably hop off. Thoughts on people leaving shopping carts and parking spots instead of returning them? That is a very random question. I don't know. Maybe they have somewhere to go. Until the grandsons. No, because like 120 after a while we're gonna start. That's what I'm saying. Like how hard we know all of these celebrities and stuff like that. They all have buddy doubles. So like how hard it is would it be to like hire somebody to like pretend to be the queen? Moderator needs to pin your socials on the lives. Oh yeah, I do a really bad job of that. Okay, so somebody's asking me, how do I feel? What made you laugh the hardest day? I think this live, somebody said that I look like Scar. That threw me. But I also said I rooted for Scar in The Lion King, so I could see that. I'm like growing out my eyebrows. This is not has anything to do with what I've been talking about being a dystopia, but I'm growing out my eyebrows, and naturally when they grow, I used to like tweeze them because they grow all fucking evil. Like they grow up like this, I swear to God. So like if I leave them out, they just grow and I have little like fucking like a horn eyebrows. But I wanted to see what would happen if I just like let that shit grow out. Fine, Scar. I can't see. I don't look like Scar. Thanks for stopping by. How much are my paintings? They're on my website. You can check it out, joliartist.com. At some point, I will start making prints, and I do have T-shirts. Do a cosplay and Scar. No, not doing that. If you knew it would happen, would you be calm about it? Oh, I guess I should answer. Long live the king. Okay, hold on. Let me answer the shopping cart question. I don't care if you leave your shopping cart out instead of taking it back. Like, that's none of my business. If I see it, I'll just take it and then walk it back to where it's gonna go. Like, who am I? Once again, it doesn't matter to me. Maybe they had somewhere to go in a rush. You know, like who cares? Why are we so pressed about like what other people do if they're not harming other people? Who cares? Like, who cares? Anyway, and I don't mean that with attitude at you. I just mean like overall with attitude at people like out there trying to tell other people how to live their lives. Like, we all come to this planet, plane, dimension, whatever you want to call it, like butt naked and screaming. Half the time we don't even want to be here. Let's be honest. Half the time we don't even want to be here. And yeah, we're just going around like pointing fingers and like trying to like tell other people how to live their lives and like talking shit. Like, stop. I have read Reality Transfer. I read that a long time ago. And pay bills. Exactly. What do you think about deja vu? Okay. All right. Are you ready? Somebody asked, what do I think about deja vu? Here's my answer. Are you guys ready for this? I want to know. This is a group effort. Did we do a group meet from the fourth dimension? We did. And some people actually reported their experiences on the Telegram. So here we go. All right, here's the answer. Deja vu. Google, don't leave the live. When you're done with the live and you remember, like tomorrow, go on Google and type in time is an illusion. Time is an illusion. Okay? And you'll see like all these articles and physicists basically saying that time is an illusion. The flow of time is an illusion. All of time is happening right now. All of time is happening right now. All of time is happening right now. Okay? Your consciousness is forced to experience a moment. Thanks for all the roses. Thank you. Your consciousness is forced to experience a moment by, I just did a video on it, but I'll, I don't mind rehashing. Your consciousness is forced to experience time moment to moment, and that's okay. But consciousness outside of form, understand that the brain is a filter. It performs a limiting action. Google this. The brain performs a limiting action on your consciousness. So everything that will happen and has happened and is happening right now, including the future. Every once in a while, your brain has like an epileptic fit is what they call it, like a little mini seizure. And what happens is that seizure is essentially your brain like having a malfunction. When that occurs, a little bit of your perception of the future slips in, and that is what deja vu is, according to me. All of time is happening right now. Your consciousness outside of your form, outside of your avatar, has access to the past, present, and the future, which is why right when you're about to wake up, that moment in space before your brain becomes active, you can still have access. You still have access to information. Pick up a pen and write down everything that you can remember. If you get into the habit of doing that, it's like strengthening a muscle. Eventually, you'll start basically realizing that your brain constructs narratives. I'll say this again. And I'm going to put this live on my YouTube channel sometime later on this week once I clear up space on my phone. But you'll realize your brain constructs narratives, not just of your past experiences, but also of your future experiences. Like, you know how throughout the day you like have a random scene, like something strange happens during the day, and then your brain will take that scene and incorporate it into like a weird fucking dream. And it like, that's what it does. But your brain does the same thing with images that it pulls from the future. It will construct a narrative from images that sometimes glitch in and pulls from the future and also from the past. And you can essentially dream of the future because you're not predicting the future. You're just remembering it because you've lived this before and you live it again because all the time is happening right now. So that's my answer. Like when you walk into a room and forget why or what you're doing. Yeah. I get dreams of things that haven't happened yet and then it'll happen. And so that's what I'm saying. Like it has happened because time is an illusion. The flow of time is the flow of time is an illusion, and it has absolutely happened. You're just remembering the future. Yeah. You're entangled with your quantum. You're entangled with your future self on a quantum level. You're also entangled with yourselves on, like in parallel universes. These are like your genetic clones, essentially, in parallel universe. So it's all of this entanglement happening, multi-leveled entanglement. And, it's just life in a simulation. That's all it is. It's, somebody asked what time it is there. It's time for me to go to bed. It's 10 o'clock. Can lucid dreams be connected to anything? So I think of lucid dreams as like mini dimensions. So when I talk about going to the fourth dimension, people automatically think it's like your dreams, but it's not. I think, once again, remember I said these are all just theories. You can come up with your own. Every time I say quantum entanglement, somebody always brings up August. Stop it. Stop it. Okay. The way I explained dreams is in the Doctor Strange, so funny. In the Doctor Strange movie, the second one that just came out, Multiverse of Madness, before he shifts to the main reality that he goes and like the plot occurs with America, there are all these sort of like sampled realities that they shift through before they get to the main reality. And I think the same happens when you dream, that before you get, like when you are leaving, when you lay down to sleep, that before you leave, you have to shift through all of these sort of parallel universes. And every once in a while, you can kind of stay in like a pocket universe and have a lucid dream. But I don't think that dream world or these like pocket universes are the fourth dimension. I think the fourth dimension occurs when you're not having REM sleep, which is REM only occurs, I think, like 20 minutes to an hour every night. So that means if you're sleeping for 7-8 hours, there's a huge chunk of time that you're not dreaming. And I've argued that your consciousness is somewhere else. Somebody told me that I should watch Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm going to watch it. I got so many things I've got to watch. So far, people have recommended that I watch Dark, which I have to like get my mind right about watching dark, because like I watched like the first episode of it, but it was literally like too dark for me. So I don't know if I'll be able to watch that. Somebody else mentioned that I watch Lovecraft Country. That one I gotta watch for sure. Have I seen the one with Jet Li? I love that. I love that shit. One of my favorite movies. I used to watch a lot of like Jet Li and Jackie Chan growing up, but that one's really, really good movie. Yeah, where he basically tries to like, he shifts through all these multiverses to like kill his parallel. Ooh, did I spoil it? That's not a spoiler. At this point, if you haven't seen that movie, this is your fault. I'm gonna spoil it. Yeah, so the one with Jet Li, he shifts through like parallel universes to basically like every time he kills a version of himself, he collects like their power and their energy, and then he's trying to become like the one, which I could see myself doing. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I would not do that. Anyway, so who created the simulation? Are the multiple simulation creators? I think it's thanks for stopping by. The movie is called The One. I think that who we really are outside of form, because remember, this body is just an avatar. It's just a suit, right? So who we really are outside of form is like a civilization of, let's say, non-corporeal entities. If you watch Star Trek, they actually have species of non-corporeal entities, so that's not far-fetched. There are species who have evolved. This is on Star Trek. This is lore. They have species who have evolved. Am I saying species right? Species. I don't know where the H came from in species. I feel like it should be species. Species. Anyway, let's say species, I guess. There are species who have evolved beyond corporeal form. And then what happens is that they want to, I know there's no H in species, but why are we pronouncing it that way? You know what I mean? Like it should be species. Anyway, Stargate's really good too. So I think who we are outside of this like construct created this simulation, programmed this simulation with AI. And I don't even like the term AI. So an excellent analogy a person used was electricity. Electricity just is. We can sort of manipulate it, but we can generate it, but we don't create electricity. It just exists. And I feel the same about intelligence. In fact, on my podcast, I have a podcast. On my podcast, I've actually equated intelligence with consciousness, and I've said that consciousness is intelligence. So I do think that this reality or simulation actually has its own. It's controlled by an AI or super intelligence. It sort of like runs the simulation, but it was programmed by who we are, the species, who we are outside of these forms, right? That's what I think is going on. And I think that they're like committees, right? So like, just like Apple was like created by Wozniak and Jobs, but it wasn't them two doing everything, right? They had different organizations in charge of different things. I think the same thing is happening here. So there are people who are in charge of designing like puppies, and there are people who are in charge of designing like humans and, you know, aquatic creatures and alien greys and, you know, all of that. Have you seen yesterday's episode of Star Trek? Strange New World? No, I haven't been watching TV. Hey, friend. I've been watching a lot of TV. I know I need to watch. I've been saying that. I gotta watch a lot. I gotta watch more TV. I don't have time. And I prefer to read. But I probably should, like, watch more stuff, I guess. It's like me like know what you guys are talking about. My YouTube is in my bio. Everything you need to know is in the bio. So people putting so much in looks are crazy then. What do you mean by that? People putting so much in looks. But yeah, my YouTube is joliartist, but you can just go straight to the bio and it's all there. It's all there for you taking. All there for you to say. So is the podcast. Oh, thank you. It came with the body. It came with the avatar. I just picked it. Yeah, just uploaded my consciousness. 3 kids, strange word, what? I want to see it. All right, guys, it's getting late and I'm getting tired. This has been a good live. I appreciate you guys for stopping in. If you guys don't have any more questions for me. I did not go to school for art. I am self-taught. The earth needs an influx of older souls, too many young ones. I could see that. See that. Good night. Thank you. Aw, somebody's having a bad day, Mad Guru. And actually has Mad in his name. I hope life gets better for you, my love. Thank you. The book title is Cosmic Trigger 2. Actually, Cosmic Trigger 1 and 2. You can get 3 as well. But just be mindful that the third one wasn't as it took a little while to get going, the third one. But once it got going, it got really good. And yeah. Cosmic Trigger. I'll hold it up one more time, but it's going to reverse because for some reason my camera is backwards. But start with the 1. 2's really good too, though. Some teenagers were just 80. Yeah, this new generation, they do feel older. Kids, hey, go hat. What's the hat for? Did you guys see the hat? I'm easily amused. All right, guys, I gotta go to bed. Wait, now we're relegated to the Flat Earth channel. That's interesting. Simulation channel. All right, my loves. I appreciate you guys stopping in. If you have no other questions for me, buenas noches. And I'll catch you guys in the next time. All right. Just got on. Sorry. I'm going to pop on again. Usually I pop on when I get sort of a bunch of information I just want to really share. But I talk about a lot of the stuff on the podcast, so it sort of sometimes ends up being redundant. But then I realize that not everybody that follows the TikTok listens to the podcast, so I probably should do more lives, and I will. All right, but if you missed the live, I will. This is actually really good, very informative, lots of information on here. So if you missed it, I will upload this to my YouTube channel in a couple of days or so. All right, and all right. Thanks for stopping by. Good night, guys. Oh, somebody has a question. All right. What's the question? One more question. Make it a good one. Love you. Conversion of melanin into energy. That is something that I unfortunately just got introduced to. Thank you for the cap. Yeah, that is something, the whole the melanin being used in electronics was new to me. That blew my mind. So I need time to read about that. I think if you have if you want to learn more, definitely go online. I need to go online, but I can talk about multiverses all day. I can talk about quantum physics. I can talk about parallel universes. I can talk about all of that stuff. But this is something that's relatively new to me. I did not know that they were using it with in technology and to build weapons. And I'm learning this all right now. So I can't speak on it, unfortunately. But yeah, it is definitely wild. And it threw me. I guess the only thing I could think of is I can't even wrap my mind around it. Like I said, I just learned about it. Somebody commented on it on a video that I put out last week. And then I put out a video 1 o'clock in the morning because I was wait, what is going on? And I don't, you guys have heard me speak for an hour and some change. And I can speak about things that I'm comfortable speaking about. But that's just something, I'm comfortable speaking about something if I know and I've read a lot about it. And then I can say, go read this book. But I cannot speak on that, and it's it threw me, so I'm just as thrown. But the book, one more time, is Cosmic Trigger 1 and 2. If you can get the physical copy. I'm sorry I blew your mind, but you should sleep. Sleep is good. Try meditating. If you go on u1lib.org, you can get a PDF. The letter U, the number 1, lib.org, you can get the PDF, or you can go on Audible or go to your local library. Go to your local library and you can check it out. A lot of people have been let me know. Yeah, zlib.org. is another one. A lot of people letting me know that you just get a library card and then check out audiobooks and stuff like that, rent stuff online. So take advantage of that. I normally don't get physical copies of books, but I loved the book so much that I was like, I want to hold this in my hand and read it. And so that's when I got the physical copies. But it definitely changes the way you perceive things. And I like books that like really mess with my brain and makes me see reality in a different way. So sleep aid was ashwagandha. So we talked about ashwagandha. If you don't have an underlying autoimmune disorder or anything that if you have to avoid things that are going to trigger your immune system, I would not recommend ashwagandha. Somebody else mentioned holy basil. The book is Cosmic Trigger. Libby has an app. I didn't know that. Check out Libby. There you go. And then for depression, this is not medical advice, but sulforaphane, exactly as it sounds, sulforaphane. If you type it into DuckDuckGo, it'll correct it. And just read up on like sulforaphane and ADHD, sulforaphane and depression. You take that with mustard seed, and it really helps. Really helps. So that's what works for me. Some other people are recommending other like taurines and phenamine, things like that. I've never used those, so I can't speak on them. I can only say what works for me. And yes, mustard seed helps with the absorption of sulforaphane. And to me, it gives me the same effects as when I microdose. So yeah, thank you. Yes, broccoli sprouts. You can get that in pill form. I like it when it's in powder form as opposed to like the capsules, because you can tell when it's fresh. You can open it up and see the powder, and then you know it's fresh. And then the brands that I take are sulforaphane and pure onco, and you can read the reviews. The doctor who mentioned this, the reason why I chose those two brands is because she had a researcher on one of her podcasts, and I don't remember the name of her podcast, unfortunately, but if you Google sulforaphane doctor, she should pop up, or like sulforaphane Joe Rogan, because that's when I initially heard about it, like years ago. Somebody had sent it to me, and it does work for me. So somebody says, isn't broccoli a man-made vegetable? I don't know. I just know it works for me. So, but I take the broccoli seed and broccoli sprouts extract. So not the broccoli. So just be mindful. They have different ones. They have like broccoli powder, which I made a mistake and bought, and doesn't really work as much. But the broccoli seed extract and the broccoli sprouts powder definitely works for me. So I would recommend that for ADHD. Well, I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a medical doctor. This is what works for moi. Okay. Okay. So I gotta go now. Bedtime. Can I have a topic about having kids and bringing life into the simulation? Oh, I can't tell people what to do. I just can't. I think that's a very heavy topic, and that's all I've been saying throughout this podcast is I have no right to tell other people what to do with their lives, with their body. Some people really just want to have kids. And I do think that if you want to bring people into this world, please be mindful that we have to do everything that we can to make this world a better place. It's been a dystopia. It is absolutely a dystopia. It is. It's a badly written dystopia. It is. But it doesn't have to be. And we can do better. And thank you guys so much for being kind. I appreciate you. Except for the 2 people I had to block. Just kidding. All right. You guys are great and funny. And lots of love to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Good night.